Craig, way off in the distance. Trina, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, Tony, but Craig, you're hard to hear.
Yeah, I have a mic on.
And they can't hear me, Trina, so.
No, I can hear you now. Tony.
You guys hear me?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
There you go. All right.
Can you
Can you
hear
hear
me?
me, Craig?
Yes, we can hear you. The miracle of technology.
Can you hear me now? Thank you.
Yeah, I can say so.
No, I just got to figure out how to mute you.
I'll do that all by myself.
All right. All right, man, let me know. We're live? Okay. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our regular public council meeting for Monday, October 3rd, 2022, here in the town of Torbay. New business, starting with Councillor Tapper.
Yes.
Councillor Manning.
Thank you.
Councillor Pollard. Now you got yourself on mute.
You look so happy, Tom.
Okay. Councillor Appleby.
Thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Goss.
Congratulations.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Okay, and I got thanks and a congrats. If I can figure out what it is before the time comes. Is there anybody want to get on the first Q&A session? All right. Okay, could I get a motion to adopt the agenda as amended, please?
So moved.
Moved, seconded, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All righty. Let's see. Public council minutes, September 21st. Could I get a motion to adopt those, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any errors or omissions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Conflict of interest. Did everybody have a look at the,
I just got a question, and I guess it's been in there for a while. Under the applications, under the planning and development, each time that's there for a motion, but back in March, there was one approved for Moores Valley Road. So that's already in there, because every week I left for that one.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's on that list, I just want
That don't
to be known that while it's attached, it was already,
oh yeah, that's already been done.
yeah, okay,
It's
just,
only if there's a discussion or a motion happening on that
yeah,
at the meeting.
okay,
good.
but just so that everybody realizes that,
All right.
okay.
Okay,
Mayor, I've got a question.
sure.
There's a motion there, I think, around Mayflower Drive,
Yep.
and just with the proximity to where we live, I don't know if that's a conflict issue. I just want to ask that question.
No, it's not a conflict unless unless the application is to you or your family or anybody like that, or the developer is your family. Other than that.
No, but I was just curious if the approval of a subdivision in the proximity of our homes on Torbay, on Valley 9, it's just down the road. I don't know. And my understanding is that that development comes up and goes behind our homes here. So I don't know if that's a conflict issue, but I want to raise it and ask the question of council before it comes forward to see if that's something that I should step out or not.
All right, we'll deal with that when the application comes up, when the motion comes forward.
Thank you.
All right. Proclamations presentations. So we do have a proclamation here for Torbay Volunteer Fire Department, Fire Prevention Week 2022. Councillor Manning.
Okay, Town of Torbay Fire Prevention Week Proclamation, October the 9th to the 15th, 2022.
Fire won't wait, plan your escape. Whereas the town of Torbay is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting our community. And whereas fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and homes are the locations where people are at greatest risk from fire. And whereas smoke alarms sense smoke well before you can, alerting you to danger in the event of fire in which you may have as little as 2 minutes to escape safely. And whereas working smoke alarms cut the risk of dying in reported home fires in half. And whereas Torbay residents should be sure everyone in the home understands the sounds of the smoke alarms and knows how to respond. And whereas Torbay residents who have planned and practiced a home fire escape plan are more prepared and will therefore be more likely to survive a fire. And whereas Torbay residents will make sure their smoke and carbon monoxide, CO, alarms meet the needs of all their family members, including those with sensory or physical disabilities. And whereas the Torbay Volunteer Fire Department is dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education. And whereas Torbay residents that are responsive to public education measures are better able to take personal steps to increase their safety from fire, especially in their homes. And whereas the 2022 Fire Prevention Week theme, Fire Won't Wait, Plan Your Escape, effectively serves to remind Torbay residents that it is important to have a home fire escape plan.
Therefore, I, Craig Scott, Mayor of the Town of Torbay, do hereby proclaim October 9th to the 15th, 2022 as Fire Prevention Week throughout the community. And I urge all the people of Torbay to plan and practice a home fire escape for Fire Prevention Week 2022 and to support the many public safety activities and efforts of the Town of Torbay's fire and emergency services. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments? I will say that this weekend, the fire prevention parade is going to be taking place. It usually leaves from Jackburn Arena and goes throughout different areas of the town and our town and Flat Rock. And then I believe they proceed down to Pooch Cove. So be on the lookout for that. I do believe, if I remember correctly, they do the same thing that we do for our Santa Claus parade, is they turn the sirens and stuff off through the area down by Liddy's in that area for people who want to come out and watch the parade with sensory sensitivity. So I'll follow up with fire chief and make sure if we're still doing that. So if anybody wants to come out to watch, they can go there. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much. All right. Mayor's report. I just sent an email, actually, to the to our neighboring communities here on the Killie Coast to see if we can get together to have a meeting about the near plan letter that the minister sent a couple of weeks ago. For those people that don't know, the Northeast Avalon Regional Plan is something that's been in the works since 2005, and it replaces the current St. John's Urban Regional Plan. I think that's the name for it. It's long, but that one has been in place since, I think, 1976. So we're looking to update the regional plan. It's interesting. It's because it does encompass everything. The Torbay Bypass Road, for instance, even though it wasn't built until about 10 years ago, it was designated on that original St. John's plan at the time, and the Gouju Highway, very similar, and the Outer Ring Road. So it's kind of important when you want to do long-term planning for particularly where the communities all connect on the Northeast Avalon. So there's 15 communities involved in that, all of us in this area, plus St. John's, Paradise, and Holyrood, and right down to Witless Bay. So it's pretty extensive. So I did send an a note out to them to ask that we can get together and have a quick meeting about it and see what our desires are, if we want to move forward or what we want to do. So I'll wait and hear back from them, and then I'll report back. Also, oh yes, birthdays for October. So Jared Brown, Recreation and Community Services, Craig Connors, Infrastructure and Public Works, and Ralph Tapper, Counselor.
I
Extraordinary.
forgot all about it.
So happy birthday to you folks. Hope you have a good birthday. And my daughter's birthday is the 6th of October, so figure I'd mention that. I know she'll get a kick out of that, I suppose. She'll be complaining later on now about that. All right. Any comment or question on the Northeast Avalon plan thing I just talked about? All right. Ms. Kine, any business arising from the minutes? Okay, seeing none, moving on, correspondence. We have correspondence here from Municipal Assessment Agency, an update on MAA. I think Councilor, or Deputy Mayor is our representative on there. Do you want to speak to that, Mary, or we'll just
No,
forward it on?
it's nothing, again, it's just pretty much straightforward in there.
Okay,
If anybody's got any questions or what have you on it, but
okay, we'll forward that off to Corporate Services, right, Don?
it was interesting, and the name keeps coming up that we were one of the first communities that had the imagery
Oh, yes, yeah.
done, so it's always good to hear where we were taking the lead on that at any of the meetings or presentations, so.
Okay, all right, thank you. Correspondence from a resident regarding beekeeping. I received this the other day, and I thought it was a wonderful idea, and I asked her to, would she like it included as a correspondence in our public council package, and she did. And is interesting about potentially putting bee hives in some of our open spaces. So we'll forward that on to Recreation. Okay, perfect. And we have one here from Department of Transportation and Infrastructure. Call for 2023 to 2024 infrastructure applications. So we'll forward that one on to Public Works to have a look at. Oh, we already must have done this already, did we? Oh no, the deadline is October 28th. Okay, perfect. Okay. Committees of Council. There's no committee to whole report. Planning, Land Use Development. Councilor Pollard.
Thank you, Your Worship. One note before we start the planning report, that memo, that is a tight deadline on it for October 22nd. And I know in previous conversations, we did not receive confirmation back as to whether or not our ISIP grants were approved for the last round yet. And this is the last chance, according to that memo, for ISIP approvals. So we're on a pretty deadline to do what we're doing. And I assume we're going to be doing something with water and wastewater. So before it gets back to committee, I would ask that Director and CAO take a look at that and see what projects we can put forward, because like I say, it's pretty short order, and unfortunately we probably won't have enough information to put in applications that we really want in terms of wastewater information and if anything for Great Pond moving forward. So we might need to do some discussion around that with Municipal Affairs to see if we can't avail of that funding. I mean, now on 22nd, I think, correct, is when is the deadline?
Yep. Yep.
All right, you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you fine, yeah. That's
Could I
good.
just speak to that, Mayor?
Go ahead.
The Director of Infrastructure and Public Works and myself are meeting with Wood next Wednesday, the 12th, regarding wastewater and a phased approach. So we'll discuss the North Pond Phase 2 and 3 at that point as well too. The MP's office is following up as well too about our sidewalk Phase 2 that was previously submitted to. So hopefully we'll have an answer on that the next day or so too. So.
On that, is there any chance you could have it before Wednesday? Because we have a committee meeting on Wednesday, not that it's, necessarily that important, but I mean, if you could have it before, that'd be nice.
We'll follow up with Wood. I think it was contingent that Clooney Mercer, who we normally deal with, Suzanne Hickey was available this week, but Clooney wasn't. But we'll cycle back with Suzanne to see if we can seek an earlier date. So you'll have the information. Brian will have the information for committee on Wednesday.
Appreciate it, thanks.
Okay.
Can I ask a question there? Is there anything that the provincial government can give us an update on there as well, going back to them about what could be approved? My understanding on this is that without an understanding of what's been approved, how do we make a recommendation about what to apply for next go-round if we don't even know what's been approved for the last bunch of submissions? I know that some have been approved and announced, but others haven't. Don, has there been any conversation with the province about when we can expect those announcements and that information? Because that would be helpful to know before Wednesday as well, please.
The MHA is following up on our behalf. As soon as we got the call, this circular that came out, I reached out to both the MP and the MHA. So I did speak to the MHA last week, and we're due to speak again tomorrow. He was out of town over the weekend, so he was following up. He didn't have much success getting an answer from the provincial government, but I'll follow up with again and see where we're to on that.
Thank you so much.
Sorry, folks. Okay, so planning and land use, first item up is the application for Kernel land referral for an expansion of a current cemetery and land in that area. Committee reviewed it and we didn't see any issues with it. It is a discretionary use, so we'll have to go through discretionary use process, but the motion is here. Motion to advise the Crown that, and this goes back to obviously Crown lands, due to this being a discretionary use in the town, a final recommendation of the referral can be made once the development application is received and the town has processed the proposal as a discretionary use application involving public notification, and a final decision on the application is made by council. So moved.
Mover.
Second.
Seconded. Questions?
I just want to say that this area is really a conversation we had on this was usually we go through discretionary use without coming to council in advance, but where this is a referral, it'll be kind of, I guess not quite right for us to say you go through discretionary use process and then it comes back to council and council not being in agreement with it. So this is really sort of council saying yes, subject to everything comes back and the approval process. We don't really see any great reason to decline this unless something really comes out of the work.
Can I ask a question on that, please?
Yeah.
I've got a couple questions. One, it's further up the street than Mayflower from our home, so there's no issue with me and voting in this in a conflict perspective, correct? Just want to put that out there first, where I live and where this is too. I just want to make sure there's no issue to speak to it or to ask.
I don't see one. I wasn't even going to raise it. I mean, it's a
Yeah, I just want to flag it because where it is up the street, it's further up the street from us. But I think from my perspective, I want to ask the question. I didn't get a chance before Councillor Howard motioned it. But I just want to make sure for record, in case anything ever came back, that the question was asked. So can I request that there's a motion on the books about that from my perspective before I engage in this debate, please, or have me comment on it, ask the question?
You want to ask a question of council if you're in a conflict?
Yeah, just before,
Well,
I
on
don't
what
want
grounds,
to
though?
participate in this vote unless I know
Right, but it
that
has,
I'm cleared.
it has to be on certain grounds, right? There has to be a reason, not just because it's up the road. Like, if you feel that you're potentially in a conflict, there has to be a reason why. Proximity, I don't think is.
Can you read out the clause there, Don? The definition of the
Yeah.
conflict, section 209 and 207?
There's new legislation in place now around conflict of interest, and I just want to be sure that it's been flagged and I asked the question.
So, section 207 states a councillor shall not vote on or speak to a matter before council or a committee of council where the councillor has a monetary interest in the matter distinct from an interest arising from his or her functions as a councillor. The councillor has a monetary interest directly or indirectly in the matter. A relative of the councillor has a monetary interest in the matter, or the councillor is an officer, employee, or agent of an incorporated or unincorporated company or other association of persons that has a monetary interest in the matter. For the purpose of subsection 1, a relative of a councillor means a father, mother, spouse, cohabitating partner, sister, brother, child, stepchild, ward, mother-in-law, father-in-law, sister-in-law, or brother-in-law of the councillor. Disclosure, which is section 208, where a councillor has an interest described in subsection 207(1), the councillor shall state that he or she has that interest and state the nature of the interest at the beginning of the discussion on the matter in which he or she has that interest, and that the statement respecting his or her interest shall be recorded in the minutes of council or a committee of council where that statement was made at a committee meeting. Where a councillor is declaring a conflict of interest under subsection 1, is presiding officer, he or she shall vacate the chair. Where a councillor declares a conflict of interest under subsection 1, he or she shall immediately leave the meeting where the matter or on which he or she has a conflict of interest is being discussed. When one or more councillors has declared a conflict of interest under subsection 1 and there is no longer quorum to vote on the matter, the minister may direct the remaining councillors to make a decision on the matter as if those remaining councillors constitute a quorum. Decision of council, section 209, where a councillor is in doubt as to whether or not he or she has a monetary interest that is conflict of interest under section 207, he or she shall make a disclosure and council may decide the question by majority of vote and its decision on the matter is final. A councillor whose possible conflict of interest is being voted on is not entitled to vote.
Okay.
So my question is, it's up the street from my home. I don't know that there's a conflict, but I want to flag it for, just so that it doesn't come back to say, Councilor Avalon didn't bring it on. So under section 209, before I engage, I just want to make sure that I'm covered and that I've declared that it's up the street from my home. I don't know if there will ever be any monetary value, but because I don't know that, I want to ask the question to make sure that it's clear and on the record.
All right.
As it's disclosed.
I understand where you're coming from, but it has to fall within one of those categories to be considered a conflict. So if you want to ask council to make a determination if you're in a conflict or not, it has to be based on one of those criteria that CAO listed out, right?
Right, and under section 209, what I'm saying is I don't know if that would have a monetary impact on my home or it's up the street. So I'm asking council under that section to take a vote to inform me if I should engage or not.
All right.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Ralph.
Yes, can I make a point? You know, I think we spend an awful lot of time on these situations. So I'll make the motion that Councillor Appleby is not in a conflict with this particular referral.
Seconder?
Second.
Seconded? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. There you go.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, continue on, Councillor Pollard, or was somebody else speaking to this?
Councilor Rafferty was speaking to us. You want me to speak to him?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to ask the question of the process. What I'm not quite clear on is why are we taking the decision now to vote on before we go through the normal process? I heard you explain that, Councillor Pollard, but I don't think I really understood it. So I just want to make sure that I'm very clear about why we would vote ahead of doing the public engagement, that we would approve it.
So, I have a question.
Maybe, and again, I could be missing something, so I just want clarification on it before I vote this off.
I have a question, Councillor Appleby, and it's directly related to what you're saying, so I'll double it up and we'll hopefully get our same answer. So, my understanding is this is a Crown land grant. So, in the past, whenever we dealt with Crown land grants, it's a person applying to purchase a piece of land from the Crown. It's not necessarily an application yet to the town to do what it is, but they have to state what the purpose is so that it can meet the land use purpose before they can get it. Because you can't apply for Crown land for residential if the land is agriculture. You gotta get a rezoning done first, right? So are we saying here that we're gonna go back to the Crown and say, yes, we approved the Crown land grant. However, once the person owns the land, they have to come back to us with an application to do what it is that they want to do. Like, that's my understanding how this process is supposed to work. Because if we're not going to make a decision on the Crown land application, then is this person going to be able to get their property? Or is the Crown going to turn it down because the town hasn't given approval for them to purchase the land? That doesn't mean we're giving them approval to do anything on it. It's just for them to buy it and then start the discretionary use process after they own it. Am I understanding that right?
Well, this one is, it's certainly a little bit tangly. So the way the motion is phrased right now is that a final recommendation can be made once a development application is received and the town has processed the application. Because it is a discretionary decision of council, and we, as the town, would have to be careful in recommending approval if ultimately the town would deny it and they've already purchased the land from the Crown. So while we don't foresee any major issues right now, it's cemetery land, it's proposed to be for cemetery purposes, it's in the back, there's no other access to it, so there's other constraints. So really, ultimately, would there be any other users or would anybody else come forward? And, there's nobody else living in the immediate vicinity. So, but we cannot predict that. So that's why the recommendation, the motion is phrased like this right now. So it'd be kind of a conditional reply to the Crown, and we are saying that really we can make it only once we process the application. So that's kind of the way why it was phrased this way.
Right, because my concern with that is that we would make the applicant incur costs now, putting in the application and doing all the work around that, without even knowing if they're gonna own the land. You understand what I'm saying? So if we don't grant, and that's what I wanna know, if we don't grant the Crown that application, is the Crown gonna turn around to this applicant and say, "Bob, we can't give you your land because the town didn't approve it"? I understand the whole discretionary use piece, but to me, that would come after the person owned the land. If they buy it and then they can't use it after, I mean, that's their own issue, but they're just looking to purchase land, right?
In other situations, the town would have replied similarly, and we said, well, the land has to be amended, so application has to be received and reviewed for amendment purposes. And this is similar, right? Like this is basically saying we do have to go through the discretionary use process. And really, it's not for us to determine if the applicant is gonna buy the land right now or not. That really be between them and the Crown. We're only saying that really there could be a yes or there could be a no, right? So we just wanna make sure that that's clear.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I just thought it was two different processes. One is a Crown
Yes.
land application,
Yes,
which, to me, if somebody wants to buy a piece of Crown land, as long as the overarching zoning is correct, then they can purchase it and then submit an application, similar to these ones coming up, right, for residential. Anyway.
yes,
all right.
yeah, and you're right. It is a very separate process, and we do need to make a recommendation on it before this next step happens. There's a two-stage process.
Okay. Did that answer your question, Councilor Effie?
No, I'm still confused. So what I'm hearing is that for a Crown land application to be approved, it needs to be zoned appropriately, which would be the motion to zone that land
It's already zoned
appropriately
appropriately.
for cemetery use. What I'm understanding in this motion is that before we apply before the application comes in, we're approving it before it goes through discretionary use.
No, there's nothing being
And to
approved.
me, my understanding of that is, my concern is that could be a precedent-setting issue. What happens when the next person comes in and says, I want to go develop that, council, you approve it before I go through the discretionary use process. And if people complain, well, what else, doesn't matter because council's already approved it anyway, I got it here, I can go ahead.
That's not
That's
the
where
case.
I'm asking the question and concerned about
Okay.
what we're doing here and what's that precedent. And this motion, as I read it, says that we're saying you can go ahead with it if you decide you're gonna buy it. So that's where I'm confused.
Okay. Go ahead, Julie.
So the zoning here is rural, and this proposed cemetery use is a discretionary use. So there is the correct zoning in place to be able, for council to be able to consider it, and then to say yes or no. And the way the motion is phrased, it says the final recommendation from the town. We're not saying yes or no really right now, so we're gonna provide them with a kind of a conditional response, but it's not a conditional approval. It's basically saying we can only make that final recommendation once we've gone through this process. That's really the only thing we're saying. We're not saying yes or we're not saying no. We're saying they have to come to us and apply, and council needs to make a discretionary decision on it. That's what the motion says.
Right, so Trina, this is not an application to build anything. It's just an application to get Crown land. And once they get the land, then they would come to council with an application for whatever it is they want to do there. Then we would go through the discretionary use process, and council would approve or not approve that way.
Right, but what I'm trying to understand, Craig, and why I'm struggling, is why in this case do we need to say we would accept a discretionary application when if it came forward with its own the way it is, that we would accept a discretionary application. That's where I'm confused.
Right, and that's
So we
exactly,
find that out missing.
you're exactly right. The issue is that the applicant doesn't own the property, they're trying to buy it from the Crown. So all we're saying right now is that we can't approve anything, but we can allow you to go ahead and try and purchase the land from the Crown.
But if we didn't do this, couldn't they go ahead and try to purchase the land from the Crown as it's zoned anyway?
No, because all referrals for Crown land grants have to come to the town. They go to all the departments of the government, and they also come to the town. The town usually signs off on it, sends it back, and then the government makes a decision. For a Crown land application, this has got nothing to do with developing.
I'm still missing the point though, of why we need to approve the ability to have a
Can I
discretionary
call a
use
question?
on this land.
Because it's in our town. Anybody that wants to buy Crown land in our town, from the Crown, has to get a referral from the town, because it's within our planning zone. So that's the whole reason for that. Used to be before, the Crown land grants came to the town first, then the town sent them out to the government departments, and then it came back to us. But the process has been reversed over the last number of years, that it goes to the government first, the government reaches out to towns and all the other departments, and we send back a response, whether we think that the person can buy the Crown land or not. That's basically it. The other two that are coming up are very similar, except it's a different use, right? I don't think it's that confusing.
Okay, we call the question?
Okay, call a question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
I'm
Carried.
voting in opposition because I don't understand it. I don't understand why we're taking this action, and I would like to ask.
Order, please. We're done with that one now. Back to the chair for the next continuous report.
I'm not allowed to have a point of order, Mayor, please.
The point of order is about something that, to do with the order of the rules. This is a motion that we just discussed and has been voted on and passed, so we'll move on to the next.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor
Thank you,
Collison?
Sorry about that, I know it was a bit,
I know, it's tangly.
anyway, yeah, we'll talk about this more time. The next one is the next two are kind of in tandem, actually. So,
Before you bring that forward, can I ask for conflict of amendment too, please, Councillor Pollard?
sure.
Thank you.
I vote that Councillor Appleby not in conflict on two Crown Land referrals
Second.
upcoming.
Second.
Seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
So the proposal for a subdivision of Mayflower Drive and Baldwin Line, and they had to get Crown Land for it, so it refers to the Crown Land referral E159900. Motion to approve Crown Land referral E159900 /CL 2022-005, based on the understanding that the proponent is to make application to the town for the proposed subdivision development, and that all town subdivision requirements, such as engineering, stormwater management, traffic, road access, and open space requirements are met. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, comments?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
This has been a subdivision where there's been questions about the road access and about safety and sight lines and proximity to another person's driveway there. I have asked for an update on the risk that's associated with development in this area and response from staff on that. Just curious, before we vote on this, if there is an update on the conversation that's been happening there. And the question that has been asked is, if we approve more development here, if this continues, my understanding of this is that the measurement from the next door driveway to this road does not meet the standard that it's supposed to be. So if we're going to take a decision on this to move forward, should we have answers on that before we move forward with any further development in that area? I'm just curious to get an understanding of where that is and what's going on, please.
Director?
Yeah, so this issue dates back probably a year and a half ago, and there was actually ultimately legal opinion obtained on it and the recommendation was to review the development agreement that was co-signed between the developer and the town, to look at what the plan was that was attached to that, to confirm if that was the one ultimately approved in that particular location. But since then also there's a new planning committee, and I think the opportunity is, so with the next phases going forward and them coming in for application, is to actually review that at that point and kind of clarify that issue once and for all. So basically cluing out the first phase, the 4-lot subdivision that's there, and also then so they can move forward with this project A and then project C. Now, just to be clear again, like these are Crown land referrals, so they are documents that were submitted to us by the Crown, and we kind of need to reply to them, which is separate from the actual development applications that will still have to come forward from those proponents for the next phases. So I can certainly provide an update on this matter to the planning committee at its next meeting. Okay?
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I'm going to vote against it, Mayor.
Okay,
Thank you.
carry on, sir.
The next one is similar, but just a different piece of Crown land. So a motion to approve Crown land referral E159909 /CL 2022-006, based on the understanding the proponent is to make application to the town for the proposed subdivision development, and that all town subdivision requirements, such as engineering, stormwater management, traffic, road access, and open space requirements are met. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments? Okay, all in
The only
favor?
comment that I'll make, I'm sorry, is that all the plans have to come back to us anyway for review. This is essentially just referral of Crown land, so the folks can go out and get the Crown land to make all the applications right.
comment, questions? Okay. all in
Mayor,
favor?
I'll let just a minute to take a quick comment.
Great.
I support development in this area. I support the development of this subdivision. I have no problem with any of that. The concern I have here is moving forward any further development until the safety issues are addressed and to ensure that there's no risk profile for the community on that. So the reason I'm voting no is I just want to have an answer to make sure the safety issues are addressed first before I support further development in any capacity there. I now understand this is a Crown Land application approval, but I feel that those safety issues that are outstanding need to be resolved before we move anything forward here. Thank you.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
I am. Thank you.
Carried.
Just on those things, I mean, you know, before these applications get approved in the day, there will be a full review of safety associated with that. You know, one of our concerns was indeed the whole, traffic on Baldwin line and the access and, you know, transportation and public works, transportation and environment or whatever the infrastructure for the provinces, they have to take a look at it as well and make sure that access is fine and all that. And I think they already have, but we will be reviewing that more at committee level to make sure that, you know, everything is within regulation anyway and up to standards.
Okay. You done?
No, there's,
Carry on, sir.
two more here. Next two relate to subdivisions and water allocations and what existed in the system and our review of numbers and all those things. There's two that have been in the hopper for that go back to December 2020. And after review by committee and much discussion around it, we decided to move these two forward. So there's a motion here. Motion to conditionally approve application C 2021-93 for proposed subdivision of property at 46 Patrick's Path to create one new service lot and construct a single dwelling subject to meeting the R&D land use zone table requirements and standard conditions for residential construction in the town of Torbay. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments?
Mayor, can I ask a question there?
Sure.
So this is a service lot that's going to have a water allocation from North Pond. That's my understanding. Is that correct?
Right, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, I can't support this motion with the current situation that we have with water allocations in the town at this time. So I just want to make sure I was clear on that. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comment?
I'd just like to add in here that normally this wouldn't have come to council, but just because of the issue with water allocations, that's why it has come back. And the fact that we do have the availability, or that according to our numbers for those two lots, and that it's been outstanding for quite some time with regards to getting those, a decision made on them. And while we can put them off and what have you, that, you know, there's no reason why at this point in time that we can't move forward and make the decision.
Right. So these two motions that are going to be coming forward, they do meet the current policy that we have in place, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we're not overtaxing
No.
what it
But
is.
they probably meet policy better than anything else that was put forward because they're
True
definitely
infill lots.
infill.
Yeah.
Infill.
I hear you.
And this one, the first one, there is already, you know, potentially a lot there that's currently not being actively used. So, you know, it's only one lot. But,
Okay.
anyways, we got to talk to the next one anyway.
All right.
Could I
All in favor?
Could I speak to that?
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Councilor
no,
Pepper.
just a minute. Although I wasn't available Wednesday for committee meeting, a few weeks ago, I did attend a meeting with the proponent on this, and we had a good discussion. And again, this goes back for a couple of years. It's been on the books, and I think it's time for it to move forward.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Next one is motion to conditionally approve 2021-90 for proposed subdivision of property at 71 Patrick's Path to create one new service dwelling, construct a single dwelling. Subject to meeting the area land use, zone table requirements, and standard conditions for residential construction in the town of Port Valley. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments or questions?
Just want to say that
Oh, you can't ask
this,
questions? No. Go ahead.
just want to say that in relation to this one, this was really a request for 3 lots, and we decided against that at this point in time. We said that there was, we had a capability for 1, and we made that allowance and move forward. And we realized the situation with the water, and this also has been on the books for quite a period of time.
All right. So, Councilor Pollard, when you say it was originally for 3, and we're allowing 2, but it's really 1, because one of those water allocations that we're approving here was already included in our counts that we did, right? Is that right? It was already existing?
2 separate
Okay.
locations.
Yeah, okay.
Potentially, it's 2 separate locations. This particular one was related to three potential services.
Oh, I hear you. Okay, all right, thank you.
The other one's separate, that's why they're separate motions.
All right, gotcha. Okay. Any other comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm opposed.
Okay, carried. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Your Worship. Next one for is an accessory building on 9 Bradbury's Lane. Motion to conditionally approve application C 2022-0974, 11.163 square meter size accessory building in front of the existing dwelling at 9 Bradbury's Lane in accordance with Regulation 38, subsection 2B of the Torbay Building Regulations 2015 to 2025. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comment or question? I have a question. So we're allowing the accessory building in front of the existing dwelling?
It's to the front left of the existing dwelling. The dwelling doesn't sit directly on the road there, and it's sort of like a back lot, so it's a non-conforming lot as it stands now, right?
Do we have to use Regulation 10 to allow that?
The way Regulation 38, I think it's 2B, is phrased, it permits you to consider that under Regulation 30, as long as you use Regulation 38 to whatever the subsection is, you should be okay.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And the final motion to set the permanent listings for week ending September 29th, 2022 as tabled. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. You done, sir?
I am done. I jokingly said to the deputy mayor when we were in committee, so I'm going to be sick today. And it worked out a while, but I had to go up and off fairness today, but no.
Sit by. Thank you very much. All right. Administration and Human Resources. Councilor Manning. Oh. Deputy Mayor.
Sing out louder. We had our meeting on the 26th. If there's any questions on anything in here, I know one of the big things, the strategic planning session is now scheduled to take place next Tuesday and Thursday night. So once again, I'll ask everybody to, if all possible, regardless of what priorities and what's on the go, to make yourself available for that night, because to me, it's imperative that our strategic plan be completed.
Yep.
The other one that's in here, and I guess time is of the essence here now with the council, with regards to personal development and travel policy. Seeing that probably the M&L conference is one of the last big things that's coming up before the end of the year.
Okay.
Anybody got any questions?
Any questions?
Was
in
there-
there?
Have we made, has everybody put forward who's going to M&L, you know?
No?
The last discussion, Mayor and Councillor Appleby are attending based on their roles with Municipalities Newfoundland and Labrador, and the Deputy Mayor is attending from a council perspective. Myself and the Director of Corporate Services will also be in attendance.
Okay, I'm also there as trio board member, so.
Okay.
Councillor Pollard, do you need us to register you for that?
No.
Just based
No.
on, okay.
Thanks.
Can I ask a question on that? Just a note, myself and Mayor, our fees are covered for participation at M&L because we are board members. But also I would like to ask that consideration be given with the additions, with the edits to the travel policy around my participation at the Federation of Municipalities board meeting in December. There's a next board meeting happening in Ottawa around the advocacy days. And I don't know what the discussion has been in committee around changes again to this policy. It seems to have been changes this year, but I would ask that consideration be made for participation at the Federation of Canadian Municipalities in December be considered as well. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Welcome.
Corporate Services, Councillor Tapper.
I was out of town for this report, so.
Okay.
Councillor Goss.
Councillor Goss, you're up.
Forgot you were out of town. Having some tech problems here, one sec. Regular payroll for 44 employees for the 2-week period ended September 23rd, 2022, totaled $90,738.65. Accounts payable for the 2-week period ended September 23rd, 2022, invoices in the amount of $137,821.98 were processed. Invoices for council approval. The following 4 operating invoices totaling $103,407.20 are presented for approval. Invoice number 151237478, Gnarl Marketing Limited, diesel for depot, $6,312.63. September 16th, 2022, NL Power, $10,284.24. September 1st to 15th, 2022, Receiver General, payroll source deductions, $61,107.13. Invoice BK3848, Wajax, as repairs to Unit 03-05, the Freightliner Tandem, $25,703.20. So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Comments? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
The following 4 capital invoices totaling $164,406.89 are presented for approval. Invoice number 001280, EEP Technical Solutions, Inc., New Muffin Monster. It's held until arrival, $58,856.20. Invoice 193669, Island Office, furniture order for History House, $20,503.73. Invoice 120693, Modern Paving Limited, Release of holdback for Skipper's Landing drainage upgrades, $55,146.96. Invoice 6032, Rodco Mechanical Limited, Ready Drive Lift Station upgrade, $29,900. So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Questions?
Can I ask a question about the Muffin Monster, hold until arrival?
Correct.
What's happening with that? Can I get an update on that, please?
Go ahead. Director?
Sure, actually, can you hear me? The Muffin Monster actually showed up on site today, so we're hoping to have that installed in the next, over the next week or so.
Okay. Did you hear that?
I did, thank you, Mayor.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried.
We have a motion award of the fire truck tender. Upon review of the responses to the tender for a new fire pumper, 2 responses were received. Dependable emergency vehicles, $475,000 plus HST and delivery, with the addition of 1 Foam Pro 2001 foam proportioning system and 1 FRC Tank Vision Pro foam display in the amount of $21,000 plus HST. Total price, $496,000 plus HST and delivery for a total price of $570,400. The other quote came from Metal Fab Limited for $529,700 plus HST and delivery for a total of $609,155. The Corporate Services Committee recommends the award of the fire truck tender to Dependable Emergency Vehicles in the amount of $496,000 plus HST and delivery. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions?
Can I just ask, this is a budget item that we have there, correct?
Yep.
Yes, it is.
Yep, just want to make sure we have that on record. Thank you.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Also, we have, I guess we're all aware of the impacts of Hurricane Fiona on the town of Port aux Basques. Our neighboring municipalities have made monetary donations. A motion of council is required to move forward with a donation to help affected residents impacted by Hurricane Fiona. So the motion reads, the town of Torbay donate $1,000 to the Red Cross in aid of Hurricane Fiona relief efforts. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments?
If I couldn't hear.
Go ahead.
I just want to say I think this is fabulous. I'm very excited that we as a municipality are able to help our friends in Port Basque, especially in such time of need. You know, we're looking at our friend, the mayor out there trying to lead in a situation that's just unspeakable for people that can have been impacted. So I think this is fabulous. I just want to commend the rest of council for bringing this forward and staff for bringing this forward, and I think it's a brilliant thing to do. Thank you.
Okay, any other comment? I will say that I emailed Mayor Button the other day, and he did get back to me and thanked us for reaching out. And it's a trying time for sure, but they're working through it. And I told them that if there's anything that we can do to help, to please feel free to reach out. Even though we're a long ways away, we might have some expertise or some experience or whatever that might be able to help them. So I know they're working really hard out there. The pictures are just devastating. And the other thing that I would mention about this is that the federal government will match that $1,000 that we do for, so that 1,000 turns into 2,000. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Finally, the minutes and background reports are all there if anybody has any questions.
Okay, any other questions? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All
Mayor,
right.
I'm sorry, I
Yep.
couldn't unmute quick enough. I just have a question, but a follow-up item here with the water allocations and the policy around that. Can I get an update on that, please?
Let's see,
Where's the Latrina?
wait, Oh, yeah, okay, it's
It's-
in our item number 4, carry forward item. Water
Yeah.
water
Water allocation. policy
deferred awaiting accurate count on connections and who has curb stops in front of property but not connected. Letters have been sent to residents who are currently paying for water allocations but are not currently connected to town water. So I assume you're waiting to hear back from those people that you sent letters to? Is that what that means?
Julian, excuse me. Julie and I have actually met on that, and we got a report done. So I think I reviewed my committee last time, and that will come to all of council and committee of the whole.
Okay, perfect. Did you hear that, Councillor Effie?
Yeah, just, is there a timeline on that? I'm just curious. to
Next
see.
meeting.
It's good for the next meeting.
Next committee of the whole.
Should do that one now, so.
Thank you. Thanks, guys, appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Actually, Mr. Mayor, there was one additional memo there I have to take care of, please.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
This is regarding the winter sand tender. Further to discussion with the provincial government procurement agency, review of the tender documents. Senior staff recommend the cancellation of the town of Torbay's participation in the winter sand tender due to cost. It is also the recommendation of the town to issue its own public call as per the Public Procurement Act. The motion reads, motion to cancel the tender that was administered on behalf of the town of Torbay by the provincial government, project number 0578-22 PHM, supply and stockpile winter sand as it relates to the portion of the tender in relation to the town of Torbay's requirements. The only acceptable bid was in the amount of $63,760. The town's budget for winter sand is $51,500. The tendered amount is $12,260 or 23.8% over budget. So moved.
Moved. Seconder?
Second,
Moved and seconded. Comments?
one question, so did we get the confirmation back from procurement that we could move out? I know last conversation we had on it, I think we're still waiting for commentary.
I spoke to Jacqueline Vickers at the Public Procurement Agency today, and they didn't issue the tender. It was through TI. So they sent me back to TI, and Brian actually has a written confirmation from TI that we can cancel the tender.
Okay. Next your question?
Interesting, thanks, Norm.
Okay. All right.
So what happens when we go tender as over, comes back to the buyer again?
There were disqualified bids because of a failure to actually make out the right name on the bid bond that were well and under our budgeted amount.
Okay. All right. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
And the motion to the town of Torbay proceed with their procurement of winter sand for the 2022-2023 season as per the Public Procurement Act. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions? All in favor?
Can I ask one question, just one question, Mayor?
Yep.
Is there any additional cost to the town of Torbay for proceeding in this direction?
There is not. We anticipate that we'll be about $8,000 to $10,000 under budget instead of $12,000 over budget by doing it ourselves.
Thank you, Director Snowgrove, appreciate that information. Thank you.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
So that really ends my report.
Now you're really done, are you? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Economic Development and Tourism, Councillor Appleby.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, so myself and Councillor Goss met with our Economic Development and Tourism Officer, Deanne Lawrence, September 27th. Thank you, Ward, for fitting in our lunchtime meeting so we could make it work with budget presentations and trying to get all the work done that we're doing in the fall. Under economic development, there's an update there on the Pickle Ridge project, and I'm very happy to see that moving forward. Thank you, everybody, for your work on that. There's an update there about Small Business Week. There will be a proclamation coming forward. There's a schedule of events So I would encourage participation in those. If anyone has any questions about them, please let us know. There's an update on the regional wayfinding project. So the deadline for the request for quotes is September 29th. So I don't know where we're on that right now, but I know Deanne had shared that with us. Under the business reports, she's got some information shared there, and she's going to be attending the EDAC conference this week. That's where she is now. And there's some information there under the tourism opportunities session that's going to be happening on the 13th at St. Nicholas Church Hall. She provided us with a garden tourism update. I have to say, I think this is a really awesome initiative that we have and we're moving forward with. And it's great to see Torbay taking a leadership role in this area. So we're really happy to see that. And thank you to Noah for his for the CBC interview. What else do we have here? And then there was an update on the Torbay town map. So if there's any questions on anything economic development related, please feel free to ask. And otherwise, that ends my report. Unless you have something to add, Councillor Gauss?
No, I don't. It's all good. Thank you.
Okay, then
All right.
that ends my report unless there's questions.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, History, Heritage, Culture, and Arts, Deputy Mayor.
We had our meeting on the 26th, myself, Councillor Tapper, and Noah. If anybody has got any questions here, everything is outlined very specific right down through the whole report. One thing to bring forward is the fact, and we talked about it at the last meeting, is that the research papers from of our former Mayor Codner have been received. The donation includes 7 boxes of textual records and historic photographs, a 3-volume genealogy of the Torbay Codners, and the unfinished manuscript of former Mayor Codner's second book, which will be published by Torbay History House and Museum in 2023. And the launch was held by Newfoundland Labrador Irish Connection Sister Board in Ireland on September 5th. And just like to mention that Councillor Tapper was part of that, and that the speech or whatever that was given in Ireland is attached. One thing when I was reading this, do you know if there was any pictures taken of any of that? It'd be nice to have.
Video.
Okay, and some pictures to put in here so that we could have it to begin with the other ones, at the one that took place here. And it was really interesting to see that there are fall classes and programs that'll be taking place at the History House. And it's nearly complete, and there will be information going out to the public on this. So there's quite a few that's there. And the age-friendly communities, NOAA's preparing application to Provincial Age-Friendly Communities Grant Program to develop regional heritage plan in partnership with our neighboring municipalities. So this is excellent to have this on the go, and the plan will evaluate the current state of existing heritage services facilities, as well as recommend ways that can be utilized to support the needs of seniors in our community. And the list here for everyone to look at, the grants and what have you that they're after being submitted, and the current status. Like, I think that's a really good format that we probably should have it on all of our grants that we put in for not only what Noah was working on, but for the whole town. Maybe that's something that we ask for, that, like that to be put as part of everybody for the different, have as part of the different committees' report, and to see where we're to, because Lisa's always bringing it to the forefront.
Yeah, it'd be nice if we had a synopsis of
Yeah.
applications that we put into, what we were successful on,
Yeah.
not successful.
And the public then would see that, because I know, thanks to Norm, that he's put in, he's put in where the money, not necessarily coming from taxpayers, but from the different grants and that, so that's outlined in the finance report now as well, so that's good for residents to see.
When the accountant commences their role, that will be one of the first things that they'll be doing, is the one-pagers on all the projects, which will outline the funding in that, and that'll be appended to corporate services every council meeting.
Okay, it'd be nice if, and I guess the point I was trying to make was, we do get a lot of questions in the community from people about, when are you gonna do this, or when are you gonna do that, like, specifically for large projects like wastewater or water and all this kind of stuff. And I try and communicate to them, to the best of my recollection, how many applications that we've put in, when we're successful, when we're not successful. More often than not, we're not successful. And, you know, but it would be nice if we had that listed somewhere so people could see it. And I'm talking about like a chronologically from
Yes.
whenever.
So we, with previous strategic plans of council, we did semi-annual updates as well too, on the status of each project, but the Director of Corporate Services, myself, have discussed a year-end, like a year-end review as well too, as part of the process, and we can outline it there in addition to the one-pagers that will accompany the corporate services report as well too. So there'll be more coming forth on that as part of the budget process as well too.
We've been asking at a couple of meetings now to have the report like we used to have attached for the motions to each of the various departments, just as a reference, and when the work was complete. So you were looking at having that added back in, okay. Before I finish off this, I'd just like to say that it's good to see Noah here with us tonight. This is his first meeting, and for anybody that don't know, this is Noah down there in the corner. And it's good to see him as part of the group. Thank you, Noah.
Mr. Mayor,
Yep,
can I just,
yes, sir.
can I have a couple of minutes?
Go ahead.
I got, from our trip to Ireland for the Manion Project launch, like Deputy Mayor mentioned, among dignitaries at that occasion was the Prime Minister of Ireland, the Taoiseach of Ireland, the Canadian Ambassador to Ireland, the Mayor of both the City of Cork and the City of Waterford, and a lot of councillors from both cities as well. But anyway, I have here a gift that I'll let you read the inscription on the front, but I just want to present this to you.
Sure.
Because again, I think we've made some headway, and this is.
Do you want to take a picture? Yeah, sure. So I'll read it out, hopefully everybody can hear me. To the town of Torbay, best wishes always, Michael Martin. PD. What's that say, Doc? And Taoiseach. Okay, that's nice. Oh, excellent. And, thank you. Thanks. And I'll just say a word this now before we move on.
Hey, just for the record, can you read that in when you get back to your seat, because it's
I will.
kind of broken up from where I was.
I will, sir. Now that I practiced it. So it says, to the town of Torbay, best wishes always, Michael Martin, TD, and a Tushek, 6/9/22. That's what it says. And Ralph, I'd just like to acknowledge that I don't know that we here in the town, we know now, but I don't know that we realized how big a deal getting the Mannion project in Torbay at our History House was. And not just for us here, but for the people in Ireland. For them to have the Prime Minister show up for their launch, to me, that speaks volumes. Now, we had a minister here too, and we had lots of dignitaries from Ireland here at our launch as well. So I think that that's a big deal, and it's a story that we're going to be talking about for a long time as the programming rolls out at the History House, and people are going to be there and get to experience that. And I know that the Mannions also went to Ireland, and they had a bit of an adventure themselves while they were there. So I think this is it's really good, and it's awesome for the town, and I thank you for bringing it to us originally. And you know, I'm very, as I told the Mannions when I met them at the History House, I'm very proud that the town of Torbay has taken that on, and that we're going to be the home of the Mannion project. And you know, I think that anybody that finally is going to get there and use it and learn, it's an amazing. And to that point, I did receive an email from the one of the school teachers at the elementary school who were at the History House last week, talking about how excited the kids were and how they're really looking forward to the programming that's going to be rolling out for students. And they had one request that we put a crosswalk at the end of Common Lane, and we're working on it. Right? So
Could I just mention
Go ahead.
one thing?
Yeah.
I just want to thank Noah as well. Noah already applied, and we were successful in getting $40,000 from our Newfoundland provincial government, which is huge to get this kick-started. And also, when we were on the Irish side, for the first phase of this, the Irish government donated quite a substantial hundreds of thousands of dollars. And in speaking to the Irish Prime Minister, don't be surprised if he'll be here in Torbay to announce more funding for this.
Oh, awesome.
I'm gonna have to brush up on his name then.
Yeah.
Make sure I can pronounce it correctly. I look forward to him coming here.
Yeah, he was invited.
Maybe we'll get a cornhole tournament on the go.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. Any questions or
A couple
comments?
questions on that report, please.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Number one, I'd like to echo your sentiment on the Mannion project. It is a great success story for the town of Torbay, and it's absolutely brilliant to see this moving forward. So congratulations and thank you. I'm very happy to see that move. I agree with the mayor. That's a very important initiative for the town. It's absolutely brilliant, and I can't say enough good about it. I'm also very excited to see the list of the funding applications that are there and the status on that. And I'm really happy to see an application for the aging for communities. I think that's an aging-friendly community story. I'm getting tired now. It's nice to see us go after that funding. I know that's been something that's been talked about, and we're happy to see it action. I do have a question about the rec card going out. I know I have heard over and over again from residents, they don't want to see more paper coming through. There's always a concern about how much money we're spending in print and sending things out to people, you know, with their tax dollars. Has there been a discussion about including the information about what's happening at the History House with the information that we're already putting at the recreational activity? Is the strategy the same as has been for the recreational content? As, you know, we'll only print so many and put them in certain places. Just want to get some information about that, because I know for residents, you know, I've heard this in the community a lot. People are concerned about what we're printing and sending out, and are we duplicating? Is there any efficiency there for public tax dollars, especially going into budget discussions? You know, this is the season for that. And the last question I have, I'm very happy to see the information there for past Mayor Codner. But can I get some more information about Torbay History House publishing that book? What does that look like? Is that something we have capacity to do? How exactly is that running? It's the first I've heard of that, and I'd be interested to know
how that came to be, what that entails, and what it looks like, because I think that'd be interesting information to share with the public. Thank
Sure.
you.
No?
Sure. Thank you, Councillor Appleby, for the questions. In terms of the RAC card, the rationale is that this is the first major announcement of programming at History House. I agree with you. I think there are ways that History House's programming can be incorporated as part of the recreation guide as well. And of course, at History House, we're using social media for the vast majority of our programming announcements. It just so happened in this particular instance, there are I think probably around 15 different courses that are being introduced, and so the RAC card has information about all of those courses as well as all of the methods for registration at History House. But that is certainly something we can have a look at, finding efficiencies there. And in terms of your second question, I was in a previous life before coming here, I was an editor of an academic journal, so I certainly have my own experience in publishing, and we absolutely do have the capacity to do it, both with my own experience and with my contacts in the local publishing field. So you will see in the 2023 History House budget, there will be money included to get that project completed. And it's a condition of the donation of that material is that manuscript is to be published. And if we're not to publish it, it needs to be returned back to the Codner family.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
I'd just like to add something in there with regards to Trina's question and the record. And I know, and I feel like I'm keep repeating myself on this, but yes, there's a number of residents that complain about anything that's put in the mailbox. And apparently, from what I hear recently, that a lot of the information, if residents got it marked on their mailbox or what have you, they don't receive any information because whoever had my mailbox prior to me going out on Torbay Road, they had it marked. So a lot of information that we think that is going out, it's not. There's still a large part of the population that are not connected to social media, that are not getting the information that they should be. And one time I would say, yeah, maybe it's some seniors, but it's not necessarily the case. And there may be one person that's home on social media, but there could be 4 or 5 different people in the household. And while the person on social media, none of this may be of interest. So once again, I think that it's really important, no matter what we have going out, that it gets out and reaches all of the population.
Yeah, I
That's
agree.
just my...
We've been talking about how we communicate with residents ever since I've been here.
Yeah.
And I'm sure councils before I got here talked about it. We gotta be flexible. So to me, if we have to print a couple of rec cards every quarter or whatever we're doing to be able to get information out, plus with social media, plus with the guides, plus with the paper, plus, then that's what we need to do. Whatever communication that we've done so far this summer for Torbay 50 events, which have been rec cards, they've been social media, they've been emails, they've been everything. Our events have been well attended. It's been tremendous, the turnout that we've had this summer. And I think that just that alone more than makes up for whatever the cost is to print up a few things and shove them in the mail, so.
Mayor,
Just
could
my
I
2
just
cents
add
Yeah.
a couple of things, items? So we're currently drafting a budget survey for residents. It'll not only be online, but they can come to the town hall or the community center and print it off and drop it off. But a couple of the questions too are talking about engagement and communication and how they find out about Torbay events, if they've attended, and if so, if not, why not? And so we'll get some good data, some information from that. And if you look at our budgets historically, we actually spend less on print materials now than we did several years ago. It's trending downwards, so I guess we can have a further discussion as part of the budget process once we have the survey results as well too.
Sure.
But that is something we are going to be developing to a customer service framework and talk about communication protocols, so all that will come forth as part of that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask one more question just to follow up to Noah's comments? Because I just wanted to add one thing there. I'm very excited to know that we have the expertise in-house to do publishing. I think that's amazing. Thank you, Noah, for your response. I really appreciate it. I'm just wondering, is it possible to ask that we have a policy created, if committee could put it on their agenda, about a policy for publishing? If we have that capacity, maybe there are other members of the community that have things that they're interested to publish. Maybe it's something we can do that's unique to the History House. Maybe it's a poll for people to come and be able to pick up unique publishings that they can only get at History House that we publish, we do. So I'd be interested to have some policy development around that to make that available to residents in the community. Also to have a conversation about costs and what that looks like. I think social enterprise and the opportunity to do amazing things like this is exactly what I had envisioned for History House when we started this discussion a long time back. And I love that we're thinking in this space. And I think that there's a very important, unique opportunity there that ties into tourism discussions as well. So if I could ask that committee to have some more conversation, put a framework in place around policy, how we do that, what that looks like, and if there's a social enterprise component that could be there. I think that would be really cool to bring back to residents. And just to Don's point, I think, you know, the information around the trending of cost of communications, maybe if we can get some of that for the public package for residents so they can understand that we are trying and have been looking at ways to engage the public around how do we have cost-effective communications. That's definitely something that's important for us to share with people. And I think that way it helps with, if we're explaining to people what the cost is and what the trend is towards trying to mitigate that those costs not being fiscally responsible with their public money, it helps us with the conversation. But I think, no, thank you. It's really important to understand the rec card. Is there a focus? There's that much content in this for the training specific, because it's new, because we're working that way. We want to make sure that information gets shared in a separate way to have that impact. So I think that's important for the public to understand as well. So I just want to say thank you to you, and I'm very excited about the good work that's happening with the newest addition to the Torbay infrastructure and ability to draw and bring people into the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Noah, did you
I
wanna-
just have a quick question. Sorry, no comment. I fully support the idea of us publishing at History House. I think it's a wonderful idea. I will say that pretty well every publishing house in the province is heavily subsidized, but it also opens us to the opportunity of a whole other area of grant opportunity. So I think it's a great idea.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. All righty. Now, infrastructure, public works, Councilor Pollard.
A lot of it is a repeat, and I'll just run down through where we stand on most things. The water system upgrades, as we all know, are still taking place with the flow meters still in process of being done. There was a question from at least one resident, I guess, on Common Lane, and that will be that's waiting for a sleeve so we can connect up to the system, and once that gets in, then it'll be all taken care of. The sidewalk project, as everyone's noted, that there's a lot of extra sods we found it on. I gotta say, it looks great, and if it's not finished now, it certainly will be. The roadway project is still in the process of being designed for tender, so we have to wait to see what the timing and that is. Hopefully we'll be able to get at least one road done this year, and then the rest in the spring, I would think, looking at the timing of it right now. Stormwater mitigation, that project is still ongoing, is in the Aquathuma's hands for design still. The trails, we're going to work on the junior softball and the multi-purpose court. This would englobe, and I'm not sure exactly where that is in process at the present time, but hopefully it will be done. I know we had some consultations with some of the users in terms of the solution that was provided, and just to make sure that it was all safety designed properly and things. I think we'll go back to the table again, take a review, another review. Generator project, we did get some initial returns, I guess, on what they may look like, but it came in, significantly over budget, I think, and they went back to look at the amount of power we actually had requested. They requested full power for the community center, and they went back down and look and see if, if that really makes sense, I guess, from a use perspective. And that is, it's going to be a warming center, doesn't necessarily need to have all power connected, but we're not really sure how that can be subdivided. So that's in the process of being done again now. The trails, next up is the trail from Forest River to the bypass road, and I'm not sure, but the next phase was to put a culvert in so that the actual trucks could go in there, and that will be starting fairly soon if it hasn't started already. One Memorial site, as everyone sees in the drive past, it's still in process, and certainly we have it on that it'll be ready to go for our upcoming November 11th services. Water treatment, I won't say much more about that because that's in our discussions every day in terms of where we stand, and we know we got big funding, so that's still in a design process, and as well the whole discussion around the Great Pond and where that stands in submission to the province and to DFO. It's in DFO's hands, and I know staff had a meeting with Wood last week, and they're in the process of getting that presented to the province for at least their initial comments, so we know how that moves forward. Last week, or I guess last committee, we had identified a wall on Beamer View Place that needed replacement, and we had further discussions past committee, and we said, I guess at the very least, we should try and go get the engineering work done for it. So there's a motion here. A motion is to give Progressive Engineering and approval to proceed with the engineering design work on Beamer View retaining wall replacement project. The estimated cost for engineering and design is $5,000. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Mayor,
Yep.
can I be excused just for a minute? I will rejoin, I need to leave the meeting for a minute.
Okay. And? Nope. Carry on.
As part and parcel of the upcoming budgets, we do now have at least a draft fleet replacement strategy, so it'll give us some look into what our costs for replacing our units and moving forward, so we get a better idea of what we might need to budget and juggle around coming forward. Roads assessment, we talked about the roads assessment as being part and parcel of, I guess, the asset management process, as well as the need to identify some costing around that. And that's going to go back in engineering's hand now to do a review and more of a surface review in terms of conditions, so that we know what roads need to be resurfaced. There is the other part, of course, of the more expensive upgrades and redoing the road beds and things of that nature will also be part of it, but at least we've started this process now, and we'll get some better information as we move forward. Recycling, the director has done some work on the recycling amounts that we actually send to the local dump, so we say, and we'll get some extra information on that for the next meeting in the different format, because it's sort of all over the place, but at least we have a start on some knowledge, and we will try to keep recycling in the forefront and try to promote that as best we can, and be part and parcel of what the process, I guess, in terms of the communication around that and what we might do. Winter sand, we already know we're situated with winter sand. We canceled the tender, and they're going to go tender for ourselves, and hopefully it works out in our favor. And so ends my report, Your Worship.
Perfect. Any questions?
I just got a question. Up there on Convent Lane, they were up there this evening. Brian, were they, that a coincidence? Up there by History House, looked like they were working on where that was, the road was cut?
I'm not sure. I know they were up there, I think on Friday, putting some gravel back in there.
Yeah, okay, well, anyway, there was vehicles and that there.
Okay. I know they're waiting under their sleeve to come into, so they can actually dig down there.
Okay. Just wondering, because at the last meeting, we thought that maybe one of the roads would have been started and I guess we're looking at Robin Place, so I guess it'll be interesting to see if they actually get any work started.
Yeah, I've actually got the
This year.
kickoff meeting tomorrow morning, so after that, once we figure out what we can do, I'll send an email to them.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks. That fleet replacement strategy is good. Thank you to the fire department for providing us with theirs when they did their budget. They had it all laid out there, how long a particular truck and all that stuff lasts. Good. Now whether we replace them or not is another story, but you can tell us when they need to be replaced. All right, thank you very much. Moving on, Recreation Community Services. Councillor Goss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We met on September 27th, myself, Deputy Mayor, and our Director, Jen Martin. The notes are there for anybody who has any questions. I will highlight a couple of things. With regards to a quote for the supply of a hot dinner for the seniors' Christmas party. Up to that point, we had just received one quote of $14,835. And I've just been told that we did receive a couple after. The other quotes came in for $9,475 plus HST, and a third one was $6,131 plus gratuity and HST. In past years, the event has included a cold plate, but we're looking at that for the point of staff have expressed prior there was a lot of food throwing out, so we're looking at the potential of a cold plate because they can take that home, but again, the decision hasn't been made yet. We have the directors applying for government grants for funds to go towards an accessible playground at Pine Ridge Creek. That funding is up to $50,000. The director is also gathering a list of names of residents who will be honored on the upgraded war memorial. The new concrete pavers would include those names of residents who have served in various battles. Any resident who would like to submit a name should email recreation@torbay.ca. Beyond that, everything is pretty well there for your reading, unless Deputy Mayor, if you have any concerns or questions?
Yes, I just got to jump in there with one comment, and I, for what it's worth, I gave Jen a heads up tonight after I saw this evening. And it's with regards to, I feel like I have to bring it up, and even after our meeting, and it's regarding the Christmas dinner for seniors. And I guess I was under the understanding that it was going to be a hot meal, and I guess it's evident, and I just gave Director another contact tonight for another caterer. And when I read this in the minutes about staff, I guess the comment about the cold plate, and I guess maybe I've been around for too long, but it was always a special event, and I actually got the seniors party on the go years ago. And it was a hot meal, and I guess the last couple of years, yes, it was a cold plate that traditional coffee house put off due to COVID. And to say that in the past there has been food left over that had to be thrown out after the event if seniors didn't eat the full meal, I don't know how to take that. And I know any time that I've ever been at any kind of a social that there was food there, if there was anything available, it went back to, it was wrapped up, and if anybody wanted to take it and bring it home or whatever, it would be done. And, the other thing that last year, there was a lot of comments that were made with regards to the cutlery and that was used to have that. So, I'm looking at different functions that we've had here in the town this year. I'm just happened to look at the mayor that time, and I'm thinking about the Atlantic Mayors Congress that we had here. It was top of the line. And I might get a little bit passionate about this, but I've known to be doing it in the past as well. If we cannot provide a hot meal to our seniors, and I mean our seniors, and I'm looking at this and I'm thinking October 1st was International Seniors Day. And, you know, I don't think that it's much to offer and have it set up, the same thing we're doing with the dinner theater, and to go in there. And as a counselor and being around, there's not much that I request and that I ask to do something for our genuine seniors. And in the beginning, it was free, and we had like 100 people, and there was concerns about it. But that's one thing, and if it's down from 14,000 down to 6,000 with a hot meal, I think that that's something we need to do. What I'm asking here tonight, do we need a motion to move forward on that? Because any counselors that I talk to and any seniors that I talk to, this is the least that we can do, is to provide that. And I was under the understanding, right or wrong, that this year it would be a hot meal. Is that right, CAO? That we would look at providing a hot meal to our seniors.
When we were out of COVID.
Yes, when we were out of COVID. Yeah, and that was the reason why there was cold plates. And, you know, I know we had the discussion the other day, but with regards to saying food left over and that, sorry, I can't deal with that.
I would actually make a recommendation, because there's 3 quotes now plus the additional names, so that the director look at that with her staff and come back and do up a table to ensure everything is included, because there is quite a differential there. So
Yeah.
I think we need to look at those in further detail and then bring it back to the
And
next
if we
council
need,
meeting.
if they're not available those nights, then we need to potentially change. We're after changing a lot of things, and maybe it's not those 3 nights that's being suggested to have. If this is something that's going to work, then I think that we need to make it work. So that's just my little rant. And the other thing that's not in there that wouldn't have been known, I think is really interesting to know, that on Thursday night last week, there's a group of people that are kicking off another 50-plus group, and I guess it's for active group. It's really nothing to do with the other one that's on the go, and more or less getting out and hiking and walking and using the gym. So I haven't seen anything go out from the town yet, but I understood that it was going to be communicated out, and that the first meeting was going to take place tomorrow night, but I haven't seen it, and maybe it's there because I don't get in to see anything on social media as much as I used to. So is that going to happen tomorrow night?
Well, the motion for the meeting went out last week.
Yeah.
And it's in the minutes there, they had their interest night, the 29th, last Thursday.
Yeah,
and then their
I was at
session-
that meeting, and then they had said that
Yeah.
the meeting, the first meeting actually off that group was going to be tomorrow night, but I haven't seen
To my
anything.
knowledge, it's next week, but
Oh.
I think their understanding is tomorrow night.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get clarification, because we have a rental there from Monday to Thursday, a special
Okay.
event that was booked last May.
Yeah.
So we're trying to, I contacted contact for that group today, so I'm trying to get some
Yeah,
clarification.
because they did get the emails and that, so maybe for the sake of the people there, that
Yeah.
they're expecting it to be
Yeah.
tomorrow night, and anyway, that'll be good. I wouldn't have got to go tomorrow night, so I get to go next week.
And
They asked me to go, I said I was too young.
The other note, like with the seniors dinner, if somebody tells me I have the budget for it, like, we're all good. We just need direction on what we're doing with the seniors, because it will soon be too late to book it.
So do we need a motion? Like, that's what I'm to give direction for this?
I mean,
Can I ask a question on that before we make a motion?
go ahead.
I'm with the deputy mayor on her comments here. I have, I'm listening to this conversation, and I have residents who contact me and they're saying, what is this? We're charging our seniors for dinners. What is this, Trina? We're at capacity. We're selling out of seniors' dinners. My family member can't get access to the seniors' dinner. I couldn't get downtown to get tickets. What's going on? I feel with the comments that the deputy mayor just made, I think that we need to go back and have a look at how we're doing our seniors' dinners. And I'm very happy to hear that, our director is sitting there saying, I'm happy to move forward, I just need direction from council on this. So what I would ask that we do, the comment Deputy Mayor made was genuine seniors. Now, what the definition of a genuine senior is, I mean, it's ambiguous, but I got her point, and her point was, someone who meets a certain criteria of senior, we should have this in place for. And I couldn't agree with her more. The foundation that put our community where it is are seniors. The foundation that put our province where it is are seniors. So I would ask that we go back, maybe go back, look at it again, define what seniors we're talking about here. But I think we need to have a conversation about, and especially leading into the budget discussion for next year as well as this current discussion, what are the costs to have the difference between a hot meal and a cold meal with COVID? What does that look like? What's the cost differential? Where we find the resources for that? Second piece of that discussion is, where and how are we defining capacity here? So do we have an idea of how many seniors in our community?
1,100.
Do we have an idea?
1,100 in the last census, over 65.
So can we use that 1,100 number to identify how many meals we're talking about? How do we make sure that families can have at least one meal where they can come out and socialize and do this not at a cost to them, to be able to come and do that? And then, how do we make sure that there is, registration in place so that there isn't anything that's left over? I mean, to the Deputy Mayor's point, I'm sure that, efficiencies and how those resources are used so that we don't have that waste there. But, for these people who have put their lives into building our communities, who are living on fixed incomes, the ability to socialize, the ability to get out, the ability to have a hot cooked meal some days, not always easy. So I would ask that committee go back and have a look. Is there an age where we do a cutoff on this? You do an MTV, wedding anniversary or an age thing, there's a cutoff there. So maybe the committee can come back to us with some recommendations and say, if we know there's 1,100 seniors, then what's that cost of like 1,100 by however many per meal? And try then to make sure that we have capacity to offer a meal to each of those people so no one's turned away. Because I've went through 100%. I think that honoring the people who have built this community is something that we should do, and I think doing it the right way is important. So if maybe committee can consider that and look at the numbers, capacity, how do we deal with that, come back with a recommendation, then council can give that direction to committee. We can get this thing moving. But I think that's really important. And my last point is I do see in here the money that the director is applying for, to leverage funds that are available. And I just want to send a thank you to her for that. I think it's really important to see that in the presentations tonight, so the public can see the money that we're applying for. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And just that 1,100 number, Director, that was something I remember from looking at the census. It might be between 8 and 1,100. But I would ask this question though. Jen, what is the budget that you have for seniors' Christmas party?
There is none.
There is none.
There is none.
There is none.
No.
So,
I got to jump in there. There is none, but I mean, and other things that we have throughout the year that falls under, like, there's a certain amount, but this is something that we do on a regular basis.
Usually we would either take it out of snow treasures or like miscellaneous programming.
Right.
But those two are maxed out because we had outdoor rinks that went under that was unexpected budget this year. Yeah. And virtual programming, which even though we saved on staffing and other items, we paid more for virtual programs.
So what I would suggest is that you take away those quotes that we have, and then committee come back to council with a recommendation with a cost attached to it. And in your budget submission coming up for this year, put a line item in there for a seniors Christmas party and put some money into it so that we can go forward that way, instead of trying to pick dollars from
Well,
here
I
and
think
there.
it was quite evident from the cost that's there. We've basically gone less than half by one of the people that looked after the dinner theater this
Yeah,
year.
that's fair.
So,
That's-
you know, and that's, so regardless, I mean, we always can come up with reasons for not doing something, but this is one that I firmly believe, and that it should be a special night.
Oh, I'm not saying not to.
No, but I'm just saying that it should be, and not to come back with reasons not to do it.
Right, which is my point.
Yes.
Let's not make it an afterthought. If
Yeah.
it's something that we want to do, put it in the
It was
budget.
never an
so we can
afterthought
budget
with
for
me.
it going
Mayor,
forward.
Can I ask one more question on that? Is it possible to reach out to see if we have community partners that want to help with this? I don't know if the Torbay Lions or someone else may be interested to help us supporting the seniors event like that. But it seems to me it's something in line with their activities. Maybe there's other community partners that would be interested to support and participate
Good point.
We,
in that as well.
yeah, we usually do. I remember last year when we were there was members of the Lions Club were there helping out, serving, and other volunteers, so
Yeah.
there's always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we could ask if there's partnerships and the opportunities there as well.
We'll get
Thanks.
groups to help for sure, but sometimes with big events like that, we have to have a caterer, a licensed caterer, because the Torbay Common has a
that's right.
a license.
The license in
Yeah.
place, that we have protocols.
But we usually do have groups like helping out, serve and stuff like that, so there might be some ways they can help.
All right, so
I
we'll
don't
leave.
know either if it could be a financial donation, Jen, as part of the sponsorship. I don't know if like community groups would be interested to sponsor with financial donations, or private sector may be interested to provide a sponsorship for a senior center. That could be an option to explore as well. If we, and I hear you, I think that's a very important point for food safety,
I
that
would.
we need to have licensed catering. But there might be some opportunities for financial opportunities to have donations there. Could be a tax write-off for private industry or for a nonprofit as well. Just thought.
All right,
Thanks.
so we'll let the committee and staff take that away and look at it.
Actually, Mayor, I'd ask that the director and her staff look at historically what we've done in the past, because there were issues years ago that other residents could not get tickets. It was the same people coming like 3 years in a row. So I think we need to do, based on committees or council's feedback tonight, let the director and the corporate recreation staff look historically and then come forth with recommendations, and then what it's going to mean to do it this year and go forward.
All right, yeah, thank you, because, I mean, clearly, if we're not gonna have dinner for 800 people. I
We
don't
used to
think.
do it for 100, and
Right.
then we went and
That's-
added it more on, yes.
Right, but the potential for us to have a dinner for every senior in the town, the cost would just be outrageous. So, take it away and go look at it, and we'll figure it out and bring back a recommendation to the committee.
And just information, these quotes are for 225.
Okay. All right, thank you. All righty. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Number 2, you got any motions in there?
No,
No.
That's fine. All right, liaison committees.
good thing.
Atlantic Mayor's Congress, no update. Intergovernmental affairs. I was speaking briefly with Randy Sims today about, I asked him, I mentioned to him about the document that we didn't receive with the NAIR plan, the attachment. So he's going to follow up on that for me. And Don's following up on it as well with the department. Jack Berg.
We haven't met since, Mr. Mayor.
Met, but
Nope.
we appointed our new.
We did
members.
appoint her yet, so we should be getting back up to the speed of things pretty soon.
All right, and we'll get a chance to get them in and have a meeting with us and find out who they are. All right, Northeast
Can
Avalon,
I
right?
ask the process to appoint them? What, do we follow the same process that we always do?
We did, people applied, the committee looked at it and chose who the members were gonna be. Is that how it worked out, Don?
Yes, and it came forth to council.
Came forth to council for a vote.
Awesome. Thank you. I just want to make sure that that was clear on that.
Okay, RNC, don't have any update. Torbay Volunteer Fire Department, there's a memo here from the fire chief. It's a motion. Councilor Tapper, can you look after that? You got it open?
I guess.
Yep. All right, thank you.
Yeah, at the September 26, 2022 meeting of the Torbay Volunteer Fire Department, nominations were held for the fire chief position. Rodney Goddard was
Goody,
sole.
Goody,
Goody?
Goody.
Goody? sorry, Rodney, was a sole nominee for the position. So we have a motion, which I'll read as per section 2.4.1E of the Torbay Volunteer Fire Department Constitution and Bylaws. The Torbay Town Council approved the election of Rodney, I'm out forgetting already. Goody. As Fire Chief of Torbay Volunteer Fire Department for the period of October 11th, 2022 to October 11th, 2024. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments? Rodney, I would say congratulations. And you've been doing a great job so far that I can see. And I've heard lots of good feedback. You did an excellent budget presentation all by yourself. And, you know, I think that the Torbay Volunteer Fire Department is second to none. You guys, you train, it's a bunch of professionals over there. And I just want to say congratulations on behalf of council. All right, all in favor?
Mayor, I just want to say the same thing. I just want to say thank you to him for taking on such an important leadership role in our community. The fire department that we have is second to none, and the work and the dedication they put in is absolutely brilliant. So I just want to say thank you for leadership that members of the departments, you know, provide in the community. And I just saw a call somewhere on our social media not that long ago asking people, you know, to give back to the community in such a meaningful way. But I think it's really important to recognize that stepping into that role is very important. So thanks.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Congratulations.
And the meeting minutes from the fire department are attached. Rodney, I'll give you an opportunity if you want to have, if you want to say anything, you don't have to.
I don't think they do.
All right, good enough. That's what else I likes about you. So Urban Municipalities Committee, I don't have any update. We met a couple of weeks ago in Grand Falls, Windsor. Once I get the draft minutes out, I'll circulate it in the council and we can talk about it at that time. No notice of motion, new business. Councillor Tepper, pass. Councillor Pollard, pass. Councillor Manning, thank you. Oh, Councillor Manning left us. She feeling okay. Councillor, let's see, Pollard passed. Councillor Epke.
Thank you, Worship. I want to extend a thank you to MNL for the opportunity to attend the Federation of Canadian Municipalities meetings that were held in Strathcona, Alberta, a few weeks back. It's really powerful attending those meetings and participating at that table. It's also really cool when you're in a different community to have a conversation about their infrastructure and what they do for their stormwater management. So I was able to tour some of the wetlands, understand their stormwater planning, and also have a look at their infrastructure around the trails. They have some really cool pieces of infrastructure at the end of their trails where they have a fixed piece on each side that can open. It allows vehicles to come through, but when you don't want vehicles coming through or motorized things on your trail, they can close off. So that's a conversation that I have had with Councillor Pollard and with our director about maybe possible budget discussions for the next year coming. But I think it's really important to go away, learn from people, and bring that stuff back. I also want to recognize while I was there was an arts exhibit with the work of Alex Janvier, and he is an Indigenous survivor of the residential schools. And walking through that exhibit was so powerful to experience his experience through art of what that was. And actually there's a picture of myself and a councillor from Montreal and a councillor from Strathcona who worked together to lead the national committee to increase women's participation in municipal government across the country. And that picture was taken on a staircase that was painted by Mr. Janvier. So it's just spectacular with the Indigenous reconciliation, acknowledgements this weekend to be able to experience that. I also want to extend a very big thank you to Councillor Katie Burkhofer from Strathcona County, who hosted me personally in her home for a couple of days after the FCN meeting, so I could stay and participate in meetings that were beyond FCN. And one example was meetings in Edmonton. The city of Edmonton hosts women from the region. They come together and they have a conversation about regional women's leadership and what that looks like. So I was invited to participate there as the chair of the standing committee with the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. And it was brilliant. They were very excited to have a councillor from as east as Torbay, Newfoundland, to come sit down and have a conversation with them. And I think one of the things that I will follow up on with this is a conversation about, can we do something similar to what they do there to support people in the sector? It's not just women. It's, you know, it's an EDI piece where we're making sure that equity, diversity, inclusion is in that discussion. And also seeing if it's possible when they have their next meeting maybe in March to have a bridge connected from Newfoundland to this team of women who are coming together having these conversations in Edmonton, and can we grow from there? So there's fabulous opportunities to come together, have conversations. Some of that benefit comes back to our community. Some of that is from participating as the Vice President of Municipalities Newfoundland and Labrador. I did want to extend a thank you and just share some of that information during the program this evening. The last thing I wanted to do is just very quickly recognize our friends in Port Basque. And you did mention Mayor Button, and I've reached out to him as well. You know, what they're going through is really hard, and I just want to congratulate and thank council again for taking time to make sure that we're doing what we can to extend support from Torbay to Port Basque. So with that, thank you, and that ends my comments. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Councillor Goss?
I'd like to say congratulations. Hockey season has started back up again. Our Holy Trinity Tigers had a tournament this weekend out in Holy Spirit, hosted the tournament. We went 2-1 in the round robin. We won the quarterfinal 3-2 in overtime. Then we won the semi, and then we actually won we beat Gonzaga, a much larger school than Holy Trinity, 1-0 in a shootout. With Jack Hopkins, he's from Torbay. He scored the only shootout goal, and Lucas Durant had the shutout all the way. So it was a wonderful weekend for the kids and some great memories. So I'd like to say congratulations.
Excellent.
Awesome.
New coach, Lou?
Yes, I am.
Congratulations to
Thank
you.
you, sir.
Thank you for doing
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
that. Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, it's awesome work. I just had to thank you, and I guess I probably got into it a little earlier when I talked about the seniors, but tonight, where October 1st was International Seniors Day, I just wanted to say thank you to all seniors, but especially the seniors of the town of Torbay for their past, present contributions. I mean, we wouldn't be where we are today without their involvement. So once again, thank you, and I know there's a couple here tonight that just like to acknowledge and say thank you to everything that you guys do. That's it for me.
Okay. Where am I? Yes. So I got a congratulations. So I say congratulations to Nathan Young and his team,
Oh, yes.
Team Young Newfoundland, who won the Rick Rousel Classic Championship this past weekend. They went 7-0 in the round robin and then won the championship. So, and it's nice to see the town of Torbay logo on their uniforms, as we are one of their sponsors. And congratulations to them. They are definitely one of the up-and-coming stars in curling right now for young people. It's nice to see. We've been supporting them now down since before the pandemic. So it's really good to see them doing well. And also thank you to FCM for inviting me to the Inclusive Community Initiatives announcement last week. I did have an opportunity to join them on Zoom for the announcements for winners of the Inclusive Communities initiatives that the FCM does. So I look at what other towns are doing, and I know that we want to be in on that group too, to make sure that our community is as inclusive as it should be. So I'm looking forward to those programs get rolled out as we go forward. And as always, I want to thank staff here at the town, particular, those that have been working on the Torbay 50 events, I know that everybody has a hand in it at some point throughout the year, but another successful bunch of events in the last couple of weeks, in particular the Cornhole Tournament that we had on Saturday night. We had 112 players. It was the largest crowd that Cornhole Newfoundland has ever had out to a single tournament. They love coming here, and we love having them here. And a lot of people had a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to when we do that again. I don't know how often we're going to be able to do it. How many times can you go to the well, per se, but to me, if you do something that works and people enjoy it, those are the things that you want to keep doing. So thank you to everybody. And with that, that's it for me. I am done. Do I have anybody that wants to ask questions? Go ahead. Yep. Get up and state your name and to the microphone there.
Okay, sorry, I'm Monica Murphy, by the way. I
Sorry.
live on Patrick's Pat in Torbay, and I wanted to throw out a couple of thank yous here tonight. Number one to Ralph Tapper and Mary Thorne Goss and Julia over there, and and Mr. Pollard, and Doug is not here, but he was at the last meeting I was to.
He's there. He can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's in that little box.
Okay. Anyway, the thing is, I just want to say thank you for the two allotments that the allocations that in my stupidity last year, I missed out on two of those lots that are on my property that the water runs in front of. And Patrick's Pass, I'm number 71 to 81, and back in 2011 I had the May design did a plan for me. And anyway, the thing is, I really appreciate, like I say, for you guys letting me have those two, but what everybody doesn't know about me as a senior, I'm one of the people who, I started off with education. When I was 29 years old, from the time I finished university till I was 29, I went and I was substituting. So I changed over and did clerical work in the 80s. And I had gotten a job with the School Tax Authority, which lasted for 6 years, from 87 to 93. Then in 95, I went into, I got a job with Justice, and I went in when all the bumping was on the go. So from 95 to now, basically, I've been with Justice. I was always I've been steady with Justice since 1998, the 1st of May. So I've got 25 years in, basically, but unfortunately, I was not made permanent till 2009. So I've got 13 years of pension, which means that's very well. I'm lucky if I'll make $15,000 a year. And the thing is, my mother had Alzheimer's disease. So from 2011 till when she died in 2017, I was working and trying to, when I built a new house in 2016 in order to, so that she wouldn't have to live through a renovation. That's basically what it was. And the thing is, I've been playing catch up for a number of years because all of my bumping were small jobs, and when I started off, I'd get a couple of months here, a couple of months there. Anyway, the bottom line is that my 4 allocations for water that I was given in December 2020, which I said, once again, I was stupid, didn't put in the 2 applications. And the thing is, now those 2 allocations are being taken away from me. And the thing is, 2 out of the 4, because I did have 4 put in for. And the thing is, I would really like to have all 4, because that's going to be, by selling that land, it's going to allow me to be able to not work till I'm 87. And basically, right now, I'm 67 years old, and I thought that I'd sell those and retire in the next 2 or 3 years. So I'm basically here tonight begging to have all 4 of them put in, to give me the opportunity to sell the other 2. And like I say, from 2020 to 2022, I worked in a job with Justice. I've been with Her Majesty's Penitentiary now 22 years as of the 5th of September this year. And the thing is, because of that, I'm definitely, like I say, I've got 13 years. So in order to even get 25 years, I've got to work another 10 in order to do that. So I would really appreciate it if something could be done so that I could, you're going to take my 2 allocations away from me and give them to somebody else. Why can't I have them and try and do something with them? Like I say, but in saying all that, once again, to Mary and to Mr. Pollard, to Julia, and to Ralph, who were, and I'm mentioning these people because they were there at the meeting, or Mary wasn't, but the rest of them were. And like when Doug gave me the initial news, I cried, I was angry, and the thing is, I want to, and I've said to Doug since then that I apologize for shooting the messenger, and I still maintain that. And once again, like I say, if there's anything you can do for me, I'd really appreciate it as a senior who would love to retire before she's 85.
I hear what you're saying. I wish I could wave my hands and give everybody water.
I know that.
And but what I do know is that the water situation that we're currently in.
Yeah.
It's over a period of time.
Right.
It's gotten worse in terms of allocations.
Okay.
However, what we are in the process of doing is improving our infrastructure. So we're putting these 6 zone meters in.
Right.
Up to a couple of years ago, we really didn't even know how much water we were using.
No.
So at that time, we were using estimates based on the Canadian averages.
Right.
And not exactly what's coming out of our pond. So we have had some additional work done by our consultant to look at these water allocations.
Right.
That's how we came to the policy that we have now, and how much we were able to use and how much of the pond we have to keep.
That's right.
I hate to use the word reserve, but I guess there is only a certain amount that you're allowed to draw down on. But these water meters are in the process now of being installed. At the end of that project, we'll have 100% accurate on how much water we're actually using. And then when we look at that with the model, with our pond, I don't know if we'll end up with any more allocations. Maybe we're using more than what we thought. But, that is going to be under constant review. And, it's unfortunate that you missed the deadline at the time. And I mean, it wasn't stupid on your part.
It was.
No, I wouldn't.
No, seriously.
It's just unfortunate that at the time that you didn't realize that if you had to put in, you would have been able to get them. But I can assure you, when your application went in, if there was any way within that policy that the committee would have been able to give you those other 2, I'm sure they would have made that recommendation. So it's kind of where we're to right now.
Yeah.
So keep checking back with us.
The only thing is, but looks like I'm in for the long haul.
Well, hopefully not. But
Well,
we'll
I mean,
see.
that's not what I'm hearing about the water situation. I'm hearing that it's like a good 10 years. And that means for me, that makes me 77 years old and still working.
Well, there is other things that you can do too, right? Like there's a
don't know.
potential that you can do a semi-service lot. Maybe you might not be able to get 2. You might be able to put in one connected to the sewer with a well.
Right.
That's something that we're exploring now with other
And
people.
the other thing about it is too, there's a ransom strip on the upper end of my property, and Julie and them were kind enough to show me a diagram of that. And the thing is, that even makes it more of who's going to want to buy it? Nobody.
Right, yeah, yeah.
So, like, I am looking at 77 to retire. And I'd appreciate it if you'd take that into consideration, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Mayor.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry I couldn't give you any better information, but I can only give you what I can give you. I won't give you any false hopes. Anybody else have a question? No, we're all good then. Okay. Oh, go ahead.
Just one second.
Yeah.
I'm not a speaker or anything.
That's all right.
Mary, thank you very much for the kind words about seniors. I can tell you the seniors would appreciate a hot meal, and they appreciate all that you do for you. I am definitely a senior. But my question tonight was, I'm in the 50-plus club, and last week, we didn't know until someone had told them that night that they canceled our 50-plus for this week because you have the quilters over there. I'm a quilter, but not with that group. But, you know, we would like to have another night if we can't make Wednesday night, because those seniors love to get out for their game of cards and whatever, right? So I just wanted to bring that up, that maybe you could speak, just to give us notice even, and maybe give us another night when that has to happen.
All right.
That's
So,
it.
I mean, the best thing that you can do for that is follow up with Jen tomorrow and Scotty, and they'll see what they can work out for you.
Okay,
All right.
thank you. I won't keep you.
It's funny, I haven't seen you
Thanks, Mayor.
around at any senior events.
Let me tell you,
You know
I'm
some-
quite
you know
senior.
some just- you know some just
I'm not from Torbay, but I'm living here 65 years, so that'll
know.
tell you something. I got married and moved here. That was it.
I see you all the time.
Okay, thank you.
All
Great
right.
job.
Thank you. Now, do anybody else have any other questions? I'll take your silence as a no. Our next public council meeting is scheduled to take place on Monday, October 17th, 2022, right here in the Torbay Council Chambers. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, carried. Thank you, everyone.